excuse me. And I don't know that anybody's ever survived that. It was a catastrophic accident, but obviously God wasn't ready. By the grace of God, he's still here. And as he says, he's still vertical. I love that. He's vertical. But we were devastated, those of us that knew about it. And we prayed and prayed and prayed, and we watched him somehow walk out of that hospital in just a few days. It was crazy. And anyway, he has hit the ground running, and I know he's had surgeries. I think he's going to have more surgeries. I know he's hurting. He's got aches and pains. He never complains. He's a mover and a shaker. And the only one I know that probably has as much energy as him is our president, to be honest. So anyway, he is determined to keep Texas, Texas, and it's my honor to introduce to you our new Republican chair of Texas, Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, our president in 4 years.
Thank you. Stop. She always sneaks that in there. Thank you so very much. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules and coming out and spending your evening here. And Dee was right. No one walks away from a motorcycle accident on an interstate highway at 75 miles per hour. I was hit from behind on I-35 in the city of West Texas, so God does have a sense of humor. At 5:04 p.m., and a couple of days later, I was walking out. Today, I had my 3-month checkup with my shoulder surgeon, and the great news is that the surgery, the bone here, my socket bone, completely healed. The fracture is gone, and the cartilage is all been repaired, and it's all good, so there's no scar tissue. So now it's just about building the strength back up in the shoulder. But that doesn't happen without y'all's prayers. I am not oblivious to that fact. So thank you very much for that. And I still have about 2 months of recovery and physical therapy, but that's okay. I'm just an old hard-headed soldier, airborne paratrooper. We'll take care of that. And speaking of which, if you're a soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, Coast Guardman, law enforcement officer, first responder, please stand so we can thank you for what you have done for this great nation. Thank you. All right, I'm going to take maybe about 20 to 25 minutes, and then I want to open it up to the floor and hear what's on your mind, because this is an incredible season that we're in. And I want you to understand something. There's a song that is sung here in Texas. It says, "The eyes of Texas are upon you." It's not just the eyes of Texas. It's the eyes of America that are upon Texas. Because so goes Texas, so goes America. But it's not just the eyes of America, because so goes America, so goes the world. The world is watching what we do here in the great state of Texas. Because if there's one place where liberty, freedom, individual rights, and sovereignty must stand, it's in the great state of Texas. And if we lose Texas, as I tell people, Texas, the Lone Star, is the star that illuminates the other 49. And if the Lone Star, that brilliance goes out, then we go into a dark age. And that's why it's so important for you to make a stand here. Amen. And when you think about Dallas, when you think about all the major urban population centers here in Texas, let me give you a fact. The last mayoral election in Dallas had less than 10% turnout. The last mayoral election in San Antonio had less than 10% turnout. Plato once said this: "Those who refuse to participate in politics shall be governed by their inferiors." And that's where we are, even in the great state of Texas. When you look at what is happening with many of our school boards across the state of Texas, the Austin Independent School District voted for a sex education curriculum for 3rd through 8th graders that's pornography. Teaching young kids how to have sex. When you look at what is going on not too far away from here, in South Lake, where they have the Cultural Competency Action Plan, which is going to go and target kids and punish kids for microaggressions, and teaching kids about racism and making kids uncomfortable in their own selves, making kids believe that just because of your skin color, that predetermines that you're a racist. And let me tell you, why is it that we in the Republican Party of Texas would allow anyone to refer to us as racist? Because our party was founded on July the 4th of 1867 by 150 black men. I'm not the first. I'm not the second. I'm the third black chairman of the Republican Party of Texas. The last one, Norris Wright Cooney, 1894, 1898. But at the exact same time, the people that are going out there and talking about systemic racism, they were the ones that created the Ku Klux Klan. They were the ones that did not support the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. They were the ones that when they took over the House and the Senate, they instituted Jim Crow. They brought in lynchings. They brought in segregation. They were the ones that continue to this day to be those purveyors, to talk about the soft bigotry of low expectations. When you look at what is going on in all the major urban population centers, when you go across the Trinity River to South Dallas, understand that that is a reflection of the failed policies of a Democrat president from Texas by the name of Lyndon Baines Johnson. And too often what we have done as Republicans is we have allowed the other side to take the offensive. We have allowed them to dictate and dominate the narrative. We have allowed them to castigate, demonize, and disparage us. We have allowed them to usurp our history. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 did not pass because of Democrats. Those of y'all who have seen that documentary, Uncle Tom, it's a powerful documentary that you need to see, you need to share. For the longest filibuster in U.S. Senate history were Senate Democrats against the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So all this talk about racism, I need you to find your courage. I need you to find your character. I need you to find your competence to be able to step forward and say, we're not the racists. You have, you are, and chances are you will always be the greatest political party that has purported racism in the United States of America. That's how we start to make a difference. When you see these people coming up supporting a Marxist organization, that's what Black Lives Matter really is. You've got to read their website. You've got to understand who they truly are. You've got to realize what they're talking about. When they come up to you and say Black Lives Matter, like they did just recently, this past weekend here in Dallas, you got to step up to them and say, which Black Lives Matter? We don't do that. See, the left is very tricky. They come up with a Marxist organization, they give it this real cute name, and everybody gets back on their heels. Instead of understanding the number one issue in the black community is fatherlessness. I was born in a blacks-only hospital in 1961 in the inner city of Atlanta, Georgia. The two-parent household in 1961 in the black community nationally was about 77%. Today, it's 24%. Because of the policies of Lyndon Baines Johnson, to kick the man, the proud working man, destroy the two-parent household. And when you go to Black Lives Matter's website, number one thing that they're against, the traditional nuclear family. When you think about the fact that what is the biggest rate of death in the black community? It's abortion. Over 1,000 black babies are murdered in the womb every day. In New York City, more black babies are murdered in the womb than are born. The black community in the United States of America makes up 13% of the population, but yet 35% of the abortions in the United States of America. The second largest abortion headquarters in the world is located in the Lone Star State. It's in Houston. You go down I-45, you get through Houston, you get on the south side, and you see that building. That was founded by a white supremacist, a racist, a person that spoke at Klan rallies, a person that referred to blacks as undesirables and weeds, but yet I have not heard Black Lives Matter say a word about Margaret Sanger or the organization that she created, Planned Parenthood. So stop being afraid of this organization. They're not talking about the fact that 90+% of murders in the inner cities are not white police officers shooting unarmed black men. They're young black men shooting other young black men. As a matter of fact, in 2019, there were only 9. 9 unarmed black men were shot by white police officers. Now, where's the real genocide? See, if we come together and study and understand these things, then you're prepared, like Troy said, to go out there and have that conversation, to engage people. But if you think you're going to be able to sit back in your comfort zones, you're going to be able to sit back in your nice little echo chambers and not go out and be a part on this ideological battlefield, then we're going to lose. And that's exactly what happened in 2018 in the state of Texas. Y'all know. We lost 12 state house seats. We lost 2 state senate seats. We lost 2 U.S. congressional districts. Texas 32 was one of those. We lost 56 judicial positions in the state of Texas between Dallas County and Houston, Harris County. That's why the left is saying that we can flip Texas. Because 2 years ago, they had incredible electoral success. To the point where now you're sitting at ground zero for the flipping of Texas. The left only needs 9 state house seats to take over the Texas State House. And every single one of those house seats are located in North Texas. Between Dallas County, Collin County, Denton County, and Tarrant County. The left is going after those judicial positions once again. We have 4 state Supreme Court justices that are up for re-election. We have 3 justices, judges that sit on the courts of appeal that are up for re-election. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? There is no such thing as straight party ticket voting this year. You cannot go in and hit that little box to say Republicans all, and then you walk out after 5 minutes. If a soldier, if a sailor, if an airman, if a Marine, if a Coast Guardsman, if a law enforcement officer, if a first responder can be out there pulling 12, 18, 24-hour shifts, standing watch, going on patrols, the least you can do is stay in that ballot box for 45 to 50 minutes. The least you can do is stand in line and go from President Trump all the way down to that city council and school board position. Because of what happened with the COVID-19, a lot of city council and school board positions have been moved over to this November election. The most important elected position in the United States of America. It ain't president, it ain't senator, it ain't congressman, it ain't governor, it's school board. What has the left done in targeting? Why do you think these young people are out in the streets talking about socialism, talking about something that is anathema to who we are as a constitutional republic? Because they're learning it in the schools. Down now to the elementary school level. You got kids getting assignments that are saying, write an assignment about why white people are racist in a science class. That's what's happening. And what we have done, ladies and gentlemen, we have ceded over our responsibility and authority as parents and grandparents to other people. In Proverbs 22:6, it says, train up a child in the way that they should go, so that when they grow old, they shall not depart from it. You cannot allow someone else to inculcate their principles and values into your child. You need to be actively engaged in what your child is being taught. No, not taught, indoctrinated in. Or else the next thing you know, they're going to be a part of the mob that's out there attacking our law enforcement officers. Y'all saw what happened in Rochester, New York this past weekend. People just sitting at a sidewalk cafe, wanting to have dinner, and the mob shows up and chases them away. What you talked about is absolutely correct, sir. We got a clear-cut choice in this election cycle. Either you believe in and stand for the rule of law and order, or you will have to surrender to the rule of the mob. That's it. It's about the fear. It's about the threats. It's about the intimidation. It's about the coercion. It will be about violence in order to get their way. These organizations, Antifa and Black Lives Matter, these are leftist organizations that the Democrat Party created. It's kind of like Frankenstein's monster that's now out in the countryside and they're just roaming and just destroying stuff. But yet you saw no one during the Democrat National Convention say one word about the chaos and violence. They own this. I don't care if they're trying to now blame Donald Trump because they're realizing that the poll numbers are shifting and changing because no one wants to see their safety and security threatened. That's going to be a game changer for us. They want to abolish the ICE, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Now, how stupid is that in a state like Texas, which is the #1 state for human and sex trafficking in America. And if y'all hadn't been paying attention, the top 2 cities in the United States of America for human and sex trafficking, Houston and Dallas. But they don't want to make sure that we have our streets taken care of. 2 weeks ago, 10 human trafficking stash houses were busted along the Texas-Mexico border. They want to defund the police right down the street, I-35. I'm heading there tonight to Austin, Texas, the capital of Texas. If you haven't been there recently, you should go. If you want to understand what the left wants Texas or the rest of the United States of America to look like, go to Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas, their city council has 2 avowed socialists on that city council. A year ago, they said that homeless people could come in and set up tents in Austin, Texas. When you pull off I-35, it looks and smells like San Francisco. Nobody's going downtown Austin at night. Austin was once known as the live music capital of the world. A report just came out that said 90% of the live music establishment in Austin will never come back, because 6th Street is boarded up. 3 weeks ago, they decided to defund the police in Austin, Texas by $150 million. Austin, Texas has become one of the most dangerous cities in the United States of America. Crime has been up by 60% in Austin, Texas. That's our capital. That's the vision that progressive socialism will bring to the Lone Star State. You've got to be dogfighting mad going into this election cycle. You've got to go out and see people and challenge them and ask them, what do they believe in? What do they want to pass on to the future? When I see people with a Biden-Harris bumper sticker or sign, I just ask them, in Texas, 2 people that want to embrace the Green New Deal, which means that the oil and gas industry in Texas is gone in 10 to 12 years. The reason why the United States of America is energy independent is because of Texas. The reason why the United States of America is a net exporter of its energy resources is because of Texas. The #1 exporter of liquefied natural gas comes out of Port Arthur, Texas. That's in the world. Now, why would we want to vote for a ticket that would destroy that aspect of not just our economic security, but our national security as well? Because what does the left want? What does Biden and Harris want? They want us to go to Iran. They want us to go to Iraq. They want us to go to Saudi Arabia. They want us to go to Venezuela to get our oil and gas resources. Those are the simple arguments that you have to make. Those are the simple things you have to present to people. Remember what I said? I was born in a blacks-only hospital. And I'm standing here in a Park City Club, D, overlooking downtown Dallas, chairman of the Republican Party of Texas, the largest Republican red state in the Union. My dad was just a corporal in World War II. But at the age of 15, he challenged me to be the first officer in the family. I became a lieutenant colonel. In 1961, when I was born, blacks could not go on Fort Lauderdale Beach. They could not go on Palm Beach Island. 50 years later, I was the congressional representative that represented Fort Lauderdale Beach and Palm Beach Island. How does that happen if America is a racist nation? How does that happen that these people come up with it? America was founded in 1619 when the first slaves set foot here because it's always been a racist nation. Then explain me. And explain anyone that came to these shores with a dream and a desire. Because America is about equality of opportunity. It says no matter where you're born, no matter where you come from, with a good quality education, with a strong family, and with drive and determination, you can live whatever dreams, aspirations, hopes that you have. Every single one of us are dreamers in America. Not just some political demographic. But what the left wants is equality of outcomes. And you need to explain that to your children and grandchildren. That always want to sit around and say, Mommy and Dad, I don't want you telling me what to do. Mommy and Dad, I just want to be free. Then why do you want to hang out with a bunch of control freaks? Because that's what the left is. They're going to tell you what to do, what to eat, what to wear, what kind of car to, everything. Because it's all about dictating outcomes for them. And if we don't make that clear delineation, then we're in trouble. So how are we going to do it here in Texas? You know, today I had a 1-hour Zoom meeting call with the top community leaders in the Vietnamese community. And you know what they said? They said it's the first time a chairman or anyone from the Republican Party has reached and tried to establish that relationship. Now, who better to talk about the failures of socialism and communism than people that fled socialism and communism, that came to these shores with nothing? And y'all know you can't go out there and get your nails done. Y'all know where I'm going, ladies. You know what I'm going to say? Miss Lee, okay? Miss Lee is a small business owner. Miss Lee is conservative. Miss Lee does not want to see her taxes go up. Miss Lee wants to make sure that her children are well educated. You got second and third, even fourth generation Ivy League educated kids coming out of families that came here to these shores with nothing. That's how we do it. When you think about the Hispanic community, that's a community that believes in our Judeo-Christian faith heritage. That's a community that believes in strong families. That's another community that believes in small business entrepreneurship and hard work. That's a community that did it the right way, and they don't respect people that came here the wrong way. But if we don't deliver that message, that's a community that a lot of people don't understand. The demographic that has the most Medal of Honor recipients in the United States military is the Hispanic community. Wow. They love this country, and they will go fight for this country. And all we got to do is extend that hand. And then the black community, which is truly so conservative in nature. The most conservative people in America on a Sunday. Am I right, sister? It's us, okay? We shouting hallelujah all over church because salvation is an individual thing. Can't nobody pray you into heaven. But then Monday through Saturday, something happens. And they go back to a victim mentality. We've got to break the victim mentality. We've got to come out with our narrative. Because Texas is not about victims. Texas is about victors. And what we're going to do is we're going to start looking at all of these major urban population centers. If you go back a couple of election cycles, you will see that many of these precincts were once strong red. And somehow they've transitioned over to blue. And if we find those important precincts in Dallas, in Austin, in San Antonio, in Houston, in El Paso, and we start delivering our message, we start sending out digital messages, we start sending out text messages. I know some of y'all getting the text messages from us, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to bug you. We're going to give you that message every single day, but I need you to pass that message on. That's how we change things. When we show people that we care. You cannot sit on this side of the Trinity River and continue to ignore everything that's on the south side of the Trinity River. They've been the victims of all of the failed policies of leftism. And if you cannot find the courage to walk across that bridge and say, hey, look, brothers and sisters, we're here for you. Not just in this election cycle, but we're going to be here for you always. We want to make sure that your children that are on the south side of Trinity, they can have all the opportunities that the kid has here in University Park or Highland Park. That's how you make a difference. And that's what we're going to do. The shoulders of Texas, East and West Texas, what I tell them, they cannot be below 75% voter turnout on the Republican side. But we need to have strong voter turnout here in our urban population centers. No more of this 10% turning out. That's atrocious. And then you ask yourself, how is it, D, that the Dallas police is about to get defunded? Because Eric Johnson, he shouldn't be mayor.
I agree.
We can raise up a good, strong, constitutional conservative city council here in Dallas. We can raise up good, strong, constitutional conservative school board members here in Dallas. You just got to be committed to do it. And now's your time to be committed to do it. I always tell folks, find 5 people that don't think and believe as you do. Get 3. Troy got 1 today. That's how easy it is. Because so many people, now, why did I say not 5 out of 5? Because honestly, 2 of them are stuck on stupid. And you're not gonna do it, okay? But get 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5, and this is not Common Core math. 3 out of 5 is what? That's 60%. In a political race, what is 60%? It's a landslide. And I think that we can have that here in the great state of Texas when we tell people what Texas truly is and what Texas truly represents. That's our challenge. We cannot wake up on November the 4th with ourselves not believing that we laid it all out. Voter registration ends on October the 3rd. There's a whole lot of mega churches all over the great state of Texas. 25 million Christians didn't vote in 2016. Let me repeat that. 25 million Christians in the United States of America did not vote in the last presidential election cycle. So guess what happens? Now Bibles are being burned in Seattle. The statue of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is being decapitated. A church out in Las Vegas has to go before the Supreme Court because out in Las Vegas they said the casino can have 50% occupancy, the church can only have 50 occupants. And the Supreme Court ruled against the church. That's what happens when 25 million Christians showing up at Watermark or Gateway and all these other places, shouting hallelujah, jumping around, clapping, singing, and then they dial it in. That can't happen. I want you to start looking at voter registration in all these churches that we have around in Texas, especially up here in North Texas. We got till October the 3rd. Early voting starts October the 13th. The governor extended 3 weeks of early voting. We need to win early voting. If there's one place where the other side seeks to cheat, it's early voting. And speaking of cheating, they're already trying down there in Harris County, where this whole thing about mail-in balloting, and understand this, there's a clear delineation between mail-in balloting and absentee balloting. Absentee balloting means that a person receives an application to fill out to send back in for the receiving an absentee ballot. Seniors, that's one of the things they get. Military, that's one of the things. But when you talk about mail-in balloting, what they just tried to do in Harris County was just mail out 2.4 to 2.7 million ballots based upon the registered voter list, which ain't been scrubbed probably. And guess what happens? They said that you could turn them in any of the 11 county locations across Harris County. The other thing that the clerk down in Harris County sought to do was send a letter to Governor Abbott, wanted to extend election results 4 days. So mail-in ballots, extending it 4 days, that's called ballot harvesting. That's exactly what happened in 2018 in California. Republicans on election day declare victors. 3, 4, 5 days later, they're not the victor. That's the plan of the left. As a matter of fact, I want you to go and read in the Time magazine, April the 14th, an article written by Eric Holder, who is the National Democratic Redistricting Committee chairman. The title of that article is How Coronavirus Should Change Elections in the United States of America Forever. And he talks about mail-in balloting. Clay Jenkins and the Chun gang here voted 4-1 in the Dallas County Commission that if you have a fear of getting COVID-19, you can put that down as a disability so that you can get a mail-in ballot. The great thing about the other side is they're so transparent. And oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, the county clerk in Harris County, well, he's also the treasurer of the Texas Democrat Party. No conflict of interest there. And Harris County is the largest county in the state of Texas. We need you to be out as poll watchers, election judges. How many lawyers we got in here? How many lawyers? Okay, are you lawyers? We need you to be on a quick reaction force. We need you to have a team so that when monkey business happens, people can see it, they can report it to you, you can get it up to the Republican Party of Texas. We've got to be careful. Last time they used this voting machine system here in Dallas called the ESS system. don't need to tell you who owns that system. And the servers are not located in the United States of America. But here in Dallas, Texas, the contractor that was responsible for collecting all of that election data, the memory stick and the laptop computer, he wasn't even an American citizen. He was a Canadian. And every single night, that person took that laptop and the memory stick home with him. And now we can't extradite him to bring him back because we don't have those terms with Canada. That's how they're going to do it. But we need you all to be out there, being our eyes. Let me close by saying this. Thank you so much to, let me get them all right, because I can't remember everybody. My dear Dee Holly, Catherine Blair, Ellen Cole, Gary Cusciani, Marty Forte, Dale and Kimberly Greer, Tricia and Bill Jewett, Marshall and Krista Miles, the Honorable Tensi Miller, Anthony Tacito, Trick Tacito, mi dispiace. Non ricordami italiano bene adesso. Trinka Taylor, Kimberly and Bill Thomas, Cindy Castilla, Texas Eagle Forum, Ganesh and Shika Raj. They stepped up so that we could be here tonight. Each and every one of you need to step up. This week, the Democrat Party said that they are going to drop $6 million in advertising in the state of Texas. Michael Bloomberg is dropping $8 to $10 million in the state of Texas. Barack Obama and Eric Holder are dropping about $10 million in the state of Texas. You know that in the last election cycle, Robert Francis O'Rourke dropped about $70 to $80 million, all from out of the state. That's the dedication that they have to take away that incredible blessing that we have here. All I'm asking you to do is to go out there and be engaged, to go out there and fight. When we say remember the Alamo, remember that 183, with insurmountable odds, held on for 13 days. Remember that on February the 24th of 1836, a 26-year-old wrote an impeccable letter that said he wouldn't surrender, that he wouldn't retreat. He talked about dying with his honor and the honor of a nation. He closed that letter by saying 3 impeccable, memorable words: victory or death. That 26-year-old gave that letter to another young millennial, a Hispanic by the name of Juan Seguin, who took that letter to a man who was not from Texas by the name of Sam Houston. And later on April the 21st of 1836, a bunch of cold, half-starved, some of them without shoes, men charged across a simple, swampy battlefield called San Jacinto. And in 18 minutes, they secured the independence of the state that you call home. Amen. What will you do in this moment to honor that incredible legacy? Because in the history of the United States of America, no single state has stood up and fought for its independence all alone. The eyes of America and the eyes of the world are upon Texas. And North Texas, we're the tip of the spear. I want us to come together on November the 4th or 5th or the 6th, D, and we want to have a throwdown party here at the Park City Club. God bless you all. God bless Texas. What are your questions?